Tony, the Massport Jets are a unique girls hockey team, aren't they?
Well, the Massport Jets is a senior girls hockey team whose sole purpose is to travel throughout the United States, Canada, and Europe promoting girls hockey.
Title IX, the legislation that completely changed the trajectory of women's sports, was passed 50 years ago. And around that same time in Massachusetts, the first ever women's hockey team in America was created. And now 50 years later, those women come together to discuss the impact that Title IX had on them back then and what it continues to have on this generation of athletes. Without Title IX, what would your life be like, do you think?
Whew, that's a hard one.
Loaded question.
That's a tough one. Gosh, well, I grew up playing sports, so you know, but my sports would have ended. They basically would have ended after high school.
We used to have to play boys bantam teams and men's teams, and I was fortunate enough to get a full ride to college to play. And then, like my first 2 years, we were one of the best teams, and we were undefeated. And then more and more girls got recruited from the leagues from under, and then, you know, we started playing mass teams, and UNH got really strong, and it opened doors for me, and, you know, and it has now for a lot of other young girls.
After I stopped playing for the Massport Jets, when I went on to college, I started the first women's hockey team at Boston State College, so I was the player coach there. And then when I left there, I went on to teaching, and then I was coaching. I was the assistant women's hockey coach at Northeastern University. So it just, Title IX has just brought us to where we are today.
But I felt like Colby really embraced women's sports at the time that Lee and I went. Our freshman year, they made it a varsity sport. It had been a club team for a couple years. It went varsity our freshman year. They put money into it. Our uniforms kept getting better. It was kind of a good time to hit college.
You've seen the evolution of women's sports over the past 50 years. Where do you want to see it in the next 50 years?
I want it to keep growing, and the most important part is I want the public to embrace women's sports more than they do.
Now you see the commentators. Now you see their commentators now on sports stations. They've opened the door for that, which is good.
There's 3 of these girls that you see in this film that are now attending American colleges, playing for their ice hockey teams. Cornell, BU, and Loyola up in Canada.
I find that a lot more colleges and high schools now are starting girls hockey programs.
Positively. In the New England area alone, there's 10 or 12.
The Massport Jets say that they were ahead of their time, and now 50 years later, time is still catching up to women and girls in sport who continue to make big strides towards equity on and off the ice.